Hi, I'm Victoria.
And I'm Rebecca, and this is Education Element. All right, let's talk about growth mindset.
We're going to talk about the growth mindset. We talked about that last time. We more or less introduced the topic and kind of our impressions of what growth mindset is. But today we want to talk about growth mindset and the teachers. So how teachers can use this growth mindset to improve their skills as a teacher, but also to improve their students' performance in the classroom. Because the growth mindset isn't just for grown-ups, it's for everybody. Everybody can use this idea to improve their life, and that's really what it's all about, is improvement. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was how teachers can use this mindset for themselves. And I think this time of year, it's February, state testing is right around the corner. It's everybody's favorite topic, I know.
There's not very many days off coming up.
Teachers are at a point now, I think, I've noticed this a lot, and maybe, I don't know if you've noticed this too, where teachers are under a lot of stress, and they're kind of at the point where they're saying, this is what I've been doing this year, and this is how I'm going to finish the year. Like,
they're not going to start new projects now.
Yeah, there's no room for new ideas or interventions or anything like that.
It's survival mode.
Yeah, a lot of the teachers that I'm working with right now are in survival mode, which is really hard for them to break out of, and approaching it with this growth mindset idea and saying, do you believe that you can do better? Do you believe that things in your classroom can get better if there's a problem? And I know that a lot of teachers are right where they want to be right now. There's a lot of great things going on in classrooms, and they're right on target, and they're right on doing their plan. But with a handful of classrooms where teachers are really struggling, this growth mindset is something that can be incredibly valuable, because it really opens a window in a stifling room where you've got a lot of negative feelings and a lot of stress. And, you know, everybody knows when teachers stressed.
Everybody's stressed.
It's just like when we were kids and when mom came home angry. Everybody was like,
watch out.
Everybody. I mean, it was just a very contagious feeling. Mm-hmm. And the growth mindset is also contagious. The fixed mindset and the growth mindset are contagious. And so you kind of have to look at it as, what contagion am I trying to spread? Like, what am I trying to get to my class today?
And as the teacher, you set the tone in your classroom, so you can choose fixed or growth, and it will follow. It'll trickle down to your students.
Yeah, and so when I was thinking about how teachers can use this growth mindset, the number one thing that I thought of was acknowledging things can get better, because they can, and you don't have to wait until next year to make things better. I think a lot of teachers, when they get to this point and things are kind of going downhill, they say, these are the things that I'm going to do better next year. Mm-hmm. And why not today?
You almost never, regret not procrastinating.
Yeah.
You almost always are glad that you did not procrastinate.
That's an excellent way to put it. It's like, I've never done anything, I've never done something proactive and felt bad about it later.
Right, and been like, oh, I should have waited.
I should have waited.
I should have suffered for another 6 months, and then it would have been worth it.
Exactly. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to do something that can benefit your class. And something that we talked about last week was, how do you do this growth mindset? What are the steps or ingredients that you need to have a growth mindset? And we talked a little bit about motivation, because you asked the question, is there kind of a limit to capacity, like a capacity of, can I have a growth mindset in this area and all areas, or does it have to be just one area? And obviously it doesn't, because the whole premise of the growth mindset is that when we try to figure out how much we have or how much we can do, our potential is unknowable. I don't know what my limit is. And to be honest, you can't find out what your limit is unless you're willing to approach what you think it is. So if I'm willing to approach, at the end of the day, I go to the gym and I say, I can do this for 10 minutes. I can exercise for 10 minutes, because that is all the energy that I have for the day, and that's it. And I know that's all I have. I know that's all the resources that I have to give to this goal. And then I get on the treadmill, or I get on the elliptical, and 10 minutes goes by, and I'm like, hey,
I didn't die.
I didn't die, and I can keep going. And I wouldn't have figured that out if I had just said 10 minutes is it, and as soon as I it rolls over the 10 minutes, I pull the plug and I'm done. When you approach it with, this is what I think I can do, but I don't know if I can do more, and asking yourself, can I do more? Is there more that I can do here? But you can't ask that before you start. Because if you say, can I, if I say, I think I've got 10 minutes in me, can I do more than that? Before I start, I'm always going to say no because I'm tired.
Right.
But if I said, can I do more? And
at 9.5 minutes, you'll have a better picture of
and then
what
I'm like,
you're capable of.
I've got all this energy from the last 9 minutes of exercising. My brain's turned on. My heart rate's up. Yeah, I can do more. I can keep going. And that was a trick that one of my teachers in school, she was explaining. We had to write a thesis, which is obnoxiously long. And writing a thesis, some days you were just like, I can't do this because it's such a huge project. To say, I need to go home and work on my thesis was like saying, I need to go home and, swim the English Channel. That's impossible for me right now with what we're doing. We're not even in England.
Start with that problem.
So she would say, when you go home, tell yourself that you're only going to work on your thesis for 5 minutes. Promise yourself that if at 5 minutes you can't keep going, that you will stop because you don't want to lie to yourself.
Or, as Kimmy Schmidt says, you can do anything for 10 seconds.
I've thought about Kimmy Schmidt a lot since I've been learning about the growth mindset, because she is like the perfect example of someone with a growth mindset. Like, you can throw me in a
bunker
for 10 years and I'm going to come out and just be as chipper as anybody, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get my GED. She's just adorable. There's no stopping. She's unbreakable.
Oh, very growth mindset.
She's unbreakable. But we can do that too. If you can say, I'm going to do this for 5 minutes, and then at 5 minutes say, can I do more? A lot of times you'll find the answer is yes. But if the answer is no, then you found out what your limit is for today. And today isn't my limit forever. It's just my limit for today. And that's that beautiful word, yet. I can't do it yet. I can't do it with what I have.
Yeah.
So I think that is, when we're at this point of the year, we're trying to keep up with all of the crazy administrative stuff we're supposed to do, and then fix any problems that have come up along the way and say, how do I do this? I think the first step is a step. Taking one step. If you can take one step, seeing if you can go further after you've taken that first step and saying, can I do more?
Do you think that first step should be an accurate portrayal of where you're at and what's happening now?
I think the first step has to be something that you know realistically that you can do. So, I mean, that's, when we're talking about our kids and their ability to grow, we have to start where they're at. I can't say...
But don't you think, we do a pre-assessment and we find out, okay, this is what they know, that's where they're at, that's what we're dealing with right now. And don't you think we can kind of do that with ourselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to come up with... and that's something that Dr. Dweck talks about in her book is a self-assessment. When you are trying to figure out what you can do, which could be anything, you have to look at yourself and say, what can I do? What have I done? Where am I at? Because then you can find out where to start. If I'm going to learn if I'm going to run a marathon, if I start my first day saying I'm going to run 5 miles, I'm going to be in trouble if I've never run a mile before. And so you have to do some
conditioning.
Yeah, some legwork. You've got to figure out, where am I at right now? What kind of raw materials are we working with here?
Right.
And then say, this is my plan. So I know what I'm working with. Here's my plan to get from point A to point B.
And so how can we apply that to a teacher in a classroom right now that's maybe struggling, say, either with behavior or with lesson plans or teaching a specific topic?
Well, I think the first step is identifying the problem. So, and that's my first step for anything. Any problem that anybody's brought in my door has been, okay, so let's define this problem. What exactly would you like to change? If you had a magic wand, and I use this a lot, the magic wand, and I do this with kids too, and they seem to like it more than adults because For some reason, the magic wand seems kind of
Childish to adults.
I like the magic wand. If I had a magic wand right now and I could change anything in your classroom, what would it be? And then they say, this is what I want to change. And I say, okay, so what do we have that can facilitate that change? And then what do we need to do to get from where we are to where we want to be? And if we can make a detailed plan of getting there, then each step becomes its own goal.
Right.
And I can say, I can get to step 1. I can get from step 1 to step 2. I can get from step 2 to step 3. And then it's not swimming the English Channel. It's just one stroke at a time.
Right.
And what was once crazy overwhelming is now just kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. My husband calls it picking the low fruit. So you're just getting the easy ones.
Well, you have to. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't get to the high fruit without getting the low fruit first.
Yeah.
And this is a good transition into what we would talk about for students is when you have a student who's struggling and they need a little reminder of the growth mindset, you have to start with success. You have to give them opportunities to succeed so that when you tell them you are not dumb, you are capable, they'll believe you. Because if I say you're not dumb and all you've done today is get things wrong, you're going to think I'm a liar.
Right.
And so if I want you to start developing that confidence, I'm going to give you opportunities to succeed, and not in a way that is beneath you or like if I'm working with a second grader and I give them kindergarten stuff, they're going to know it's kindergarten stuff and they're going to go, well, of course I can do this. It's kindergarten stuff, and they're that's not going to give them the boost they need. It's too easy.
Yeah.
And so
You have to break it down stroke by stroke for the child as well as
it's got to be
needing it for yourself.
Yeah, it's got to be individualized and going down to the root of the problem. I mean, that is how special education works. We identify that is how special education should work. You're right. Where we identify a problem and we break it down, and then we identify specific goals for that specific kid, and we work from where they're at. That's why every IEP starts with a present levels of functioning. We identify where they're at, and then we build up from there.
Right.
And anybody...
And really, that's just good teaching. Any good teacher will do that as well with pre and post assessments and common formative assessments and.
But when we're
checking for understanding,
when we're looking to help kids, that's exactly where I would start.
Yep.
Let's look at how you're doing and then build on that.
And build on it in a way that they have success. I like that you said that.
Yeah.
That's important. All right, we're going to wrap things up for today, and we wanted to let you know that we are on Facebook at Education Element, and it would be great if you subscribe to our YouTube channel to check us out for every episode.
See you next week.
See you next week.